Welcome, ladies. Welcome to the Find Your Force virtual event. This is where we help you unleash your feminine energy so that you can launch your independent business and create the life with freedom and fun that you're so wishing for. I'm your host, Joyce and I, and today my guest is from the Wild West in Northeastern Oregon, Whitney Freya. Whitney, welcome to the show.
Hi, Joyce. It's great to be here.
I'm so happy that you could make some time and talk with us about all the amazing work that you do. I love you are a creative entrepreneur, and you have books that you've written and creative fitness centers that you've opened many years ago. So I'm really ready to dive into deeply with you about the creative journey that you have made and the importance that all this work has for women. So can you tell me a little bit how it all started?
I would love to. So what's so fun about the way I ended up in this kind of genre career is that I grew up a total wannabe artist.
Yeah.
You know, I had friends who could paint or draw and their sisters, and I would lean over their shoulders and just be like, oh, I wish I could paint, but I can't. And, you know, I'd had an art teacher when I was 9 tell me, you know, Whitney has a great eye for color and balance, but drawing isn't her thing. And so I just completely accepted that. And I would, you know, dabble in creative little projects, right? But I definitely bought that story that I did not have access to being a real artist. And what I love when I'm coaching women too, is that this wannabe, like whatever it is you've always wanted to be, like I've always wanted to do that, right? Even no matter how much you think it's not available to you, I'd like to suggest that the whole reason that energy is around it is because you're meant to experience that. Yeah. So literally, I graduated from college and I took this job selling books door to door. And I did that for 4 summers after college. And it's a crazy job. And I knew I didn't want to do it forever. And I was reading a book called Zen and the Art of Making a Living. Yeah. And he quoted Nietzsche as saying, art is the proper task of life. And the author said, you know, many of you will think that this has nothing to do with you, but this book will insist throughout that unless you adopt an artist mentality, you will not be able to create, you know, the life of your dreams. And I was pretty sure at that point, 4 years out of college selling books door to door, that life was a lot more like a blank canvas than a multiple choice test. Yeah. And I had not found any easy entry way to take an art class. And I would try every once in a while because it was still kind of pulling on me. And I would end up calling like right after the registration deadline, you know, and I was moving around a lot. It just seemed really, really difficult. So because I was doing this crazy door-to-door book selling job and that was scary and that I ended up making a bunch of money, I literally ended up taking the cash and buying this crack house in Nashville and renovating it and opening the Creative Fitness Center in May of '96. So it was 21 years ago. And literally opened the doors, still had never painted on a canvas. Like
wow, that was a brave step then.
It's just even funny looking back, like why I just never even painted. So, so what happened though is along the way, my own journey, right? Because I learned to paint. I learned sitting by myself alone. It was like I was channeling it because I now owned an art center. So there was no way to be like, oh, I'm not good at this and wad it up, or, you know, I had to believe. And so myself, along with my clients who were also, you know, wannabes in a lot of ways, right? Because we attract our same people. Together, we started really understanding and paying attention to how this new creative practice was impacting how we lived. And, you know, we'd have these kind of moments, you know, we both get all bug-eyed and be like, wow, this is really working. And what happened is, you know, the Creative Fitness Center was about getting your right brain muscle in shape. Yeah. So it's about giving yourself right brain activities because in your right hemisphere, you're completely present, which means you have no baggage, right? Yeah. So all of us wanting to get our fierce female on, right? Yeah. You have a lot easier time doing that in your right brain. The right brain is also love-based rather than fear-based. So if you have something you've always longed to do, and then you've been asking your left brain, can I do it? you know, because it involves change, you haven't experienced it up until now. The left brain only knows that's potential fear, like that's danger.
Yeah.
So it's going to give you all kinds of great, really logical, rational reasons why you should not do that new thing. So when you do regular creative activity, because you're literally creating those new neural pathways and strengthening the part of your mind that's like, ooh, let's lean into the new rather than lean away, you begin to do things a little bit differently. And as we know, you know, I think all of us can look back on just little micro shifts or little experiences that changed everything, you know. Spending more time in that right hemisphere can do that. So I had this art center, bricks and mortar. I ended up getting on some HGTV shows that were produced in Nashville, which led to writing my first book. Opened up 2 wine bars in the middle there because I remembered that that's what got my book published, which actually is what happened. So, and then when I was moving out to Oregon, I mean, literally very remote, not a huge population here, I started developing online programs. So from 2008 till now, I've been working mostly online. And I love it because I get to connect with amazing spirits all over the world, mostly women, of course. And like my creatively fit coaches, now there are 250 approximately all over the world. And
that's your certification course, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's been a wild ride.
So yes, but it is so true that if you use more of your feminine energy, you become more fearless, right? So instead of because can you explain a little bit how you feel this? I mean, I'm also an artist, and I'm always working on trying to get the balance between the feminine and masculine energy, because as an artist, I'm more leaning towards the feminine when I'm working, but then as my self-employed business entrepreneur side, I need to sometimes step into more of this masculine energy parts of myself to have the business side running, right? So I'm always trying to balance this in a nice way. So how do you experience that?
Well, there's so much with that. And, you know, one of the things that I got to learn more about in really the last, 6 or 7 years, is around, you know, the divine feminine and the true feminine power. And of course, creativity is the feminine, is the Shakti, right? And, you know, I renamed myself Whitney Freya in 2014, and she is this warrior goddess, right? So there is, you know, there is that fierce, feminine, warrior, strong energy that I think is different from the traditional way we've, you know, kind of grown up understanding the word feminine, right? And the balance of masculine and feminine is a huge theme, you know, has been for me as well. But I think what I've noticed the most recently and in the, you know, circles and women I talk with is that there is this new level of strength and conviction coming through, because our world is at such a point, you know, like I feel that feminine energy just being like, enough, like, you know, there's just enough of this, like, stop it. And, you know, our voices are getting more convicted. And I believe that there's this opportunity right now that as the kind of the towers fall and the structures crumble and that there's energy power release, that there's more available to those of us that are choosing to send our creative attention towards a positive future, you know, not allowing the fear, which is so present, to really bury us. So I think as women, and those of you watching this, right, you're here absolutely to bring your voice and bring your heart in a really strong way to whatever arenas you are circulating in, whatever it is, if it's your, you know, your family, your corporate job, you know, wherever it is, but understanding that that is what's needed. And so the balance, you know, I think comes when you are connecting to your heart, what you're passionate about. You know, I couldn't be a creative entrepreneur doing something I wasn't really passionate about. And I would choose that over like some money-making thing, right? You know, like that. I think you need that. And so whatever it is you're passionate about and feel fiercely about, you're here to bring that energy into this
Yeah, to explore that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what kind of women do reach out to you? Are they usually women that are also entrepreneurial, you think, or do they work with you purely because it soothes their soul, or
Right,
can you?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think there are a couple different, personalities that are attracted. What I know is when people are attracted to working with me, it's because of this understanding, sometimes not even that realized, it's not that they've all been painting forever, but they understand that there's this connection between creativity and what it is they're wanting to do. One woman I'm working with right now used to work in a really progressive major corporation, and now she's out on her own coaching, and she's been doing human resources for a long time all over the world, but she understood that when she goes to work with her new clients, that she wants to bring this creativity in, because it's about creating experiential opportunities for people to learn, to do something in order to learn and expand. So what I know is that there's this awakening of a truer understanding about the nature of creativity and painting and art, that it's not just product to hang on a wall that only has value monetarily speaking, that there is this secret spark within us that's activated and encouraged, and that flame is fanned when we honor that creative practice. So the women I'm working with, they want change. They understand that they have a level, like a unique conversation to bring into the mix. They're not interested in the cookie cutter or fitting into someone else's box. And that whatever stage they are of realizing that, that varies. But that's what I love about this practice is just all the different ways we can see, just in the infinite shades of blue that you can create, that we all have, this color, the song to sing, and let's get it out there. And so that's, it's like this seed that's ready to germinate inside of them, and they find me and I help create space for them to do that.
That sounds beautiful. So the certification course that you've got, does that follow because you just mentioned how everybody has a unique part, and that that being yourself is important. Now, when you do a certification course, do you follow a similar path and get to the end with different results for each person?
Right. So the certification program is, clearly it has a structure and a curriculum and all that. And everyone who's worked with me knows how I've created more and more structure. It's not my initial, Zen place to go is to create all kinds of structure. What I love to do with my coaches is, give them this experience of really immersing themselves in the creative practice. So the body of the training is the level 1 and level 2 of the 4-level certification, which is my Vision Quest and then the Super Soul Flow programs. And Vision Quest is really the grounding earth kind of foundational energy. We work through the 4 elements, and we start at the very, very beginning, just exploring that left-right brain as the life artist that gets to choose. And then develop this personal painting practice where we're learning the language of symbols and understanding how to create energetic paintings that can communicate on a multidimensional level what it is we want to create more of in our life. And then Super Soul Flow is the charging, and this is guided meditation just as much as painting meditation. And really, my intention for that is to bring people to a place where in their lives, they are daily really looking at life and making decisions as an infinite being first, who's currently getting to express itself, in this body. And from that perspective, as an infinite being, everything's available to you, including whatever it is you're currently trying to figure out. And so when they finish those 2 levels of the coaching certification, there's a whole month-long process of helping them to recognize their own golden thread and where the energy is and where they've discovered the most passion. And some of them have existing, coaching businesses and things. And I help, create the vision for them of how they're going to weave it all together. And then we do 6 months of business coaching to really help be there as it unfolds.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
so, you know, so people can just turn around and use the affiliate links and share it and, you know, earn income that way, or they can take what they've been exposed to and learned in the programs and make it their own and weave it into their own practices.
Wow, that sounds like a very powerful program. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the latest book that you've written, Rise Above, is that connected to the program, or is that a standalone book? Or can you explain a little bit what the book is about?
Yes, I would love to. They're all like colors on the palette, right? So Rise Above, Free Your Mind One Brushstroke at a Time has been such a joy to bring into the world, because it's my current teachings and experiences that I've had the last, 5-6 years. And what the focal point is that ultimately we are the sole creator of our experience, and what we're creating in every moment is energy.
Yeah.
Right. And so beyond the stuff and the people and the relationships or the, house or whatever, there's a feeling that we want to feel that's most important. And so each chapter is a different energy or a different feeling. So we start with freedom, and then self-love and abundance and joy and peace and spaciousness. And there are exercises and teaching in the chapter that is around, the stories we've created around some of these things, some of these experiences. For example, with joy, I've had a lot of conversations recently where there are a lot of people that when you say, what do you do that brings you joy? Like, where do you go to tap into that energy? And they're kind of stumped. Right?
You mean people don't have an answer for that?
They don't. Yeah. They like, well,
yeah.
I like when I get together with friends, and it's like, okay, we need to focus on creating more joy. Right. And there's a level of, especially I think with women, when you've got families and, we're multitasking and nurturing and all of that. We've kind of been conditioned to feel, guilty or indulgent just to even sit down for 10 minutes and do nothing. Yeah. There's like this constant, like there's something I should be doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Wash the windows.
Yeah. Right. And, when you meet someone that's clearly making joy a priority in their life, that energy ripples out and impacts everything. Like, the opposite, if everyone's walking around miserable and in drudgery and in victim mode and shitting themselves to death, that's not going to create the planet we want to live on. So giving people permission to focus their energy on creating that. And I think that's there's so many, but a huge passion of mine right now is and the divine feminine, that fierce feminine energy that's coming through, that's like, can we please understand that where you focus your attention is what increases?
Exactly.
Can we please focus our attention on what you want?
Yeah.
What do you want? And, the universe, or whatever you call it, cannot do anything to support or help you when you're going through a list of complaints or a list of excuses. All it can do is agree, right? But as soon as you say, I want to feel more joyful, I want to find my passion, I want to teach people, like I want to be able to share, then, okay, we can attract experiences and opportunities for you to do that. But when we're focusing our attention, describing, how much time do we spend complaining, describing things that we don't want to happen or don't like? And once you develop this awareness, it sounds crazy, right? Like, why would
I've been doing a lot of work on that, and I managed to catch myself at early enough, and then flip whatever I wanted to say I didn't want to happen or didn't like or whatever. But it takes practice. It does take practice. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you want to make it a priority. And how different would your life be, if you did spend, 90% less time focusing on what you don't want. I had in my house, because as an entrepreneur, I got divorced 4 or 5 years ago and had to like instantly start making my income.
Mm-hmm.
And I would worry and stress a lot. And I put Post-it notes all around my house, right at eye level. There were like 10 of them. And it said, my intention right now is to create ...
Yeah.
And they were up for about 2 years. I think there's still a couple up there. And so that's what I was doing. So just like everywhere I went, I would be reminded, like, think about what you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
write it on your mirror in lipstick even, or whatever. Yeah.
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 I mean, I joke with my kids because, you know, sometimes, you know, like the kids can be like, oh, Mom, you always think everything's so perfect or everything's going to be happy or whatever. And I'm like, listen, it takes a lot of work to be this happy. Like, I make this a priority, you know, like this is part of my job, I believe, is to make sure that I'm happy. So, you know, it's not just like wave a magic wand. It is a commitment.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
Why would we not want to commit to creating that energy in our lives?
And actually, once you start doing that, you are a happier person and life feels lighter. Mm-hmm. So we just want everybody, we want you to do that too. Right?
Yeah, and I'm sure you have stories too of like the synchronicities or coincidences. That's one of my favorite parts of the programs I guide people through, because we're engaging visually with our world. And, you know, people can see things. Like, I've just had a whole string of bee experiences, including getting stung, but learning about, you know, more about bees and how important they are. And so I'm getting ready to paint my sacred bee painting to send all this good energy to the bees. And it's been hysterical to watch. Like, the first little girl that came trick-or-treating had the bee costume on, and I just had to laugh. I'm like, okay, I get it. I will get to the painting and all of that. So like, you know, you will attract more opportunities. You don't have to figure out how I'm going to get happier or how I'm going to get, you know, grow my business or start a business or whatever. Just decide and start imagining, and then just pay attention. It'll become like a treasure hunt, you know, and that's so much more fun than sitting there like, oh, I gotta figure this out.
Exactly what you just said. Make it fun. Make it fun, because then it also becomes lighter and happier, and everything just changes when you approach it in a positive way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in my book, you can look through. So let's see. I just opened up to the hummingbird. So each chapter has an animal totem. Yeah. And so this is the chapter. On self-love. And so there's lots of there's poetry, there's step-by-step examples. This is how to paint a mandala. And then teaching about presence, how you know, when we're present, we don't have baggage, the ego isn't engaged, and how valuable that is. So you can kind of open up to any chapter or decide, like, what do I want to feel? Like, spaciousness is one of my favorites, because we're all so busy, right? And so easy to talk about not having enough time. And there actually, time can be very creative. The Greeks had 2 words for time. One was chronos time, like the linear time, and the other was kairos time, or aha time. And so you can play with that, you know. So it's real life information that people can put to work right away. And so the book is complementary to everything that is going on, and it's available on Amazon. So
yay! We'll put a link here somewhere so you can find that too. As you can see, I've got something with time too. I sort of like to always try to stretch time, and the funny thing is that I seem to be able to make more out of my time than I did many years ago, and people notice that, and they often say, how do you fit it all in? And it doesn't even feel like I'm pushing it, you know. It just I think it's an approach that if you start to live that way and learn a little bit, adjust, then things, time is an interesting thing.
Exactly. I remember when I had the, you know, like 3 kids in elementary school and 2 wine bars, and, you know, co-chair the fundraising PTO and in a book in the art center, and people, I don't know how you do it. I'm like, well, that's what I'm like teaching. That's what I teach. It's because I know where to go to fill up with that energy. And it expands what is available to you.
So that's an interesting, an important thing that you just touched there. You know how to fill up. Right? So how do you fill yourself, nourish yourself?
Oh, there's so many ways. I was telling a friend the other day, I go, I think I'm kind of a joy junkie. Like, there's like, whether it's the morning coffee
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
hiking up in the mountains, or I just started paragliding this year. So
Yeah. Oh, wow.
kind of the end of the season now, but my three things are either meditating, getting outside in nature, or painting. Those are the three,
Yeah.
the three big ones.
And do you think you do something every day? Do you need it every day?
That's interesting. It's I think I do it every day. I think there is a point where even if it's meditating for 5 minutes, or I got positively giddy the other day mending the burn mark in my drop cloth that I have in my kitchen over the stove, because my kitchen is like art studio and dining room table and everything. And so I got out one of the old drop cloths, because I've gone through several, and cut a piece out and stitched it on and stenciled a flower of life stencil. And then I just started stenciling flower of life stencils all over the,
got sidetracked a little bit.
No, I had a blast. It was great therapy. So, so even in the repairing the burn mark, because I brought in, the sacred geometry, and I chose, okay, I'm going to use orange, that's second chakra and creativity. And, so it's easy to do. You just have to make it a priority and look for it. So I think I do a little filling up every day.
Yeah, great. Yes, because that's another thing. We do need to fill ourselves, to charge our batteries, because otherwise, you deplete the energy, and that's not working either. And that's what a lot of women do when they start giving too much and not taking time to receive. So that's why I thought I asked you whether you need it daily, but you seem to just, tweak certain daily chores into opportunities to fill yourself up. Yeah.
I mean, I've even, like going out to weed the garden becomes like, I'm going to go ground. I'm going to go have a conversation with Gaia. It becomes a little ritual. So I do think it's available. And the freebie, the gift that we're offering, this top 10 signs you're a rainbow warrior. This is something that I know you listening, watching, are here to do, is be this higher vibration energy amidst the low vibration. And most of us have been called idealists at some point. Being called gullible, I realized that was a big one for me, because if we're really tapped in, and we're here to hold space for what's possible, like our idealism is saying, no, I know it can be better. I know this is possible. Thank God for the idealists, right? Because that's what is going to enable what we want to come into being. So, so going out to weed the garden in order to, ground and connect to Mother Earth and, make these things fun, it's really important. It's really important. It's bigger than, just you making yourself happy. You want to be that love. And if you're not loving yourself and filling yourself up, then you're looking outside of yourself for things to fill you up or to make you feel loved. And that doesn't work.
Yeah. So I hope that the women that are watching really realize that, go within, look within, find your force, find that spark, find that energy, because that's where you can pull, where you charge your battery from, and where you can pull your ideas and your work from. Yeah, definitely.
Well, and that energy that you're talking about, that fierce female energy, that the portal is what gets you fired up. That's the fierceness. It's not anger, judgment, like heavy.
It's a spark. It's a spark for
and passion, and that's what you want to nurture. So if you're not sure where that is, go find it.
Go find it. Go within. Go within. Take some time. So because you are still a mother and you are an entrepreneur, you have a business, as you say, you do a lot of different things, and you travel a lot as well, don't you?
Yes.
So people will think, how does she fit it all in? How can she all make it happen? But see, so just take everyday things and take these as opportunities to to use that as a charger, right? Yeah.
Right. And I love another conversation that is ongoing is this living as a life artist. Like really understanding that you are creating your reality. And I'm
but
not
you
saying,
are, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not saying that's easy to understand right now, because there are some big, extenuating circumstances and factors going on. And you still get to create how you look at it. Right. So as a life artist, you pick and choose. There are some things, that, and I remember, especially when the kids were little and we're in Nashville, Tennessee, my kids didn't have matching bows in the hair and little calling cards and thank you. I didn't always have the baby gift. I mean, I let go of a lot of things that I just understood for me and what I wanted to accomplish. Those things weren't significant. And, if people weren't going to be my friend because I didn't, have the thank you note right there, then that's okay. That's probably.
And have your kids suffered because of the non-matching bows?
No, not at all.
Not at all. See, because I do believe that your kids are creative thinkers as well, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty hysterical. Yes, and they're all teenagers now, and it's really fun to watch how it's all manifesting. They're each so different and doing amazing things, and it's pretty fun. So
just out of curiosity, as a mom, do you think that your way of looking at life and your creative ideas and thinking have made them different as teenagers, as kids?
Yeah, well,
set them up maybe more open-minded for the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do. And actually, I have seen the articles, how they would always say like music helps kids do better in math. There are articles about art with that. And my kids always had just materials available, nothing fancy. They weren't like painting on canvas all the time. It was always available. And to different degrees. I mean, my son is only into basketball. He doesn't paint at all, but that the energy, the understanding of creativity and keeping them in a place of, if there's something I want to happen, I'm the one who makes it happen. So there are a lot of different ways to do that as well. But I mean, I remember my son in preschool, the teacher was like, I don't know what you do. She goes, well, I do know what you do. But, I was trying to explain to the kids because all the chairs were like clumped on one side of the table. And I was trying to get them to spread out the chairs. And they just were looking at me. And Mason finally got up and went around and rearranged the chairs. And it was like that spatial thing, just understanding, reading between the lines. There's a lot of that. And just in general, the same way, if the kids mixed the paint together and got mud, I heard it so many times, like, oh, they always do that, so they say, oh, she doesn't have talent. So they would stop giving him art. For your child and for ourselves as well, to have space, like the blank piece of paper, the blank canvas where you can do anything you want. And, whatever it is that's coming to mind is what's perfect. As opposed to filling in the bubbles and paying all the bills and, all of these things that we have to do. Create a space where you've got openness and where you can just
freedom.
Play.
Freedom. Yeah.
And, and that's why I love like getting outdoors and flying and all these things, but it's also right there available at the canvas.
Yeah. Because you say life is the canvas of your soul, right?
I do.
Yeah. So Whitney, do you have any other things that you would like to share with the ladies watching that I have not touched on?
Yes. Well, so absolutely. I think the number one ingredient, so to speak, that you want is to take whatever it is you're most passionate about and make that be your work. I think Hafiz has a quote that says basically work is love. So your work is how we love the world. And without that, as an entrepreneur, because it's challenging and there's so many, like technology is changing all the time. There's a lot of volunteer.
The world is changing all the time. It doesn't matter what you do. Everything is changing all the time.
Exactly. So if you don't love the message that you're bringing, the conversation you're having with people, find the one that does, and then it changes. you know, like, and those of us who have, you know, accepted and opened up to this, what I call the spiral path, like we signed up to be continually changing and growing right along with the world, right? Like we're not the types that like dig in our heels to defend our, you know, facts and figures. Like it's more open than that. And so you're constantly going to be crossing thresholds. And those thresholds always have a level of fear right on the inside. And that fear is not this mean, nasty, horrible, you know, gremlin trying to hurt you. It's there making you aware, bringing you present, making sure that you have, you know, this next little thing. You know, I'm thinking of, you know, all these, you know, like Narnia and all these stories, you know, where right when they need it, right before they cross the threshold, you know, like the wizard appears and gives them the magic vial that will you know, make everyone better, whatever it is. So you're constantly going to be crossing thresholds, and you're constantly going to be bumping up to your own boundaries that, you know, a year or two ago felt way out of reach, and now you're there. There's always going to be the what's next. So make that fear or that anxiousness, you know, when most people come to work with me, they haven't painted, they're scared of the blank canvas, right? And that's okay. Like, that's great. That's a great sign. I remember teaching at Esalen, and a man joined my retreat that week because he said he goes there and he looks through the schedule and he picks the workshop that scares him the most.
That's great. Right?
And I'm like, oh, we're so headed there to understand that fear is your friend and fear is fuel.
So he's looking for the challenge, and that is great. Yes.
Exactly. And I think that fierce female develops a whole new relationship with fear. Right? And it's not there to block you. It's there to just make you stronger.
And let's make it an upward spiral, an ever going upward spiral, rising above, rather than a downward spiral and getting deeper and deeper into darkness.
Absolutely.
Find the light and go up.
I love it. Exactly.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, Whitney. I could talk forever with you, I think. And to everybody, the button just underneath this video will take you straight to Whitney's gift, which is, Are You a Rainbow Warrior? And just tell us one more time what it involves, Whitney.
Well, so it's a really beautiful book that I put together, Top 10 Signs You're a Rainbow Warrior, because a lot of the things that have caused us some challenge in our life, or haven't, you know, been harmonious with maybe some of our left brain, you know, more linear, like parents or spouses or whatever, that these things that have caused you a little bit of angst, you know, like me being called too gullible, or you're so idealistic, you know, made me feel kind of like, what, I'm too childish, like I'm simple, like what is, you know, it didn't feel good. And it's like, oh, this is one of your superpowers. So there are, I guarantee you, when you read that the ebook, which is a short read, but you will be like, yes, I thought that was something that was kind of like maybe the black sheep. Well, you're the black sheep because that's the visionary in you. That's the creative energy in you. That's the heart and the passion that's wanting to come through. So you will transmute maybe some past kind of negative connotations or beliefs around who you are, and find a little bit more power.
Cool. So to everybody watching, to get that Rainbow Warrior ebook, just click the button below and it will take you there. And if you want to find out more about what Whitney does and all her other courses and journeys and books, just click on the website link that you can also find on this page, and you can dive into her world, onto her beautiful canvas. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time and sharing all this with us. It's been really informative and helpful, I hope, for a lot of the women that are watching, and I loved our conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joyce. Thank you for hosting this event.
And to the ladies watching again, check your inbox tomorrow for more information for interviews on the Find Your Force series. So I'll see you then. Bye.